Bada bing, bada boo.
This particular elevator ride is taking a lot longer than normal. This is way back in the day. Typically to go up 8 floors, it would take about 48 seconds, but this is feeling like a lifetime. When Tupac gets up to the 8th floor, he can't even feel anything. His whole body is numb. He says, when I got upstairs, I looked around and it scared the shit out of me. He sees standing there Biggie, Notorious B.I.G., famous rapper, alongside 40 other guys, including Sean Diddy Combs. They were all there working on a new album titled, interestingly enough, Conspiracy. Tupac said, I was feeling weird. It's like nobody wanted to approach him. He says, I noticed that nobody would look at me. Diddy was standing back too, and I knew Diddy. Whatever was said, or rather not said in that room, would solidify everything. Because in that cramped room, Tupac is practically alone, having been shot 5 times. Twice in the head, twice in the groin, once in the hand. And he has a feeling that one or a few people in that room have something to do with it.
Just got shot?
Just got shot. He's bleeding out.
By himself.
And no one wants to approach him, according to Tupac. And it was in that moment that he felt someone in that room had something to do with this shooting. Diddy and Biggie. And perhaps he was right. Perhaps he wasn't right. But within 2 years, Tupac would be dead.
So do you think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
Only they can answer that question. I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows.
Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. They were both related to Diddy. One he saw as his main competitor, and the other one he saw as this money-making machine for his label. And within 6 months of each other, both of them were murdered. Which a lot of people find it very easy to believe, considering that Diddy has a past of people dying around him. This is part 3 of the Diddy case, where we cover the 13 deaths closely linked to Diddy, and all the supposed evidence there might be linking him to those murders. 33 years ago, Puff Daddy, at the time, aka Diddy, was going to host a fundraiser for AIDS at the New York City College, where you would just pay $20 to watch celebrities play basketball. Boys to Men, Run DMC, Jodeci, Heavy D, Big Daddy Kane. It was rumored that Mike Tyson was going to be there. This is a huge event. Nearly 5,000 people show up to the gym. The problem being, the maximum capacity in that gym is half of that. Less than half of that, and nobody knew how to turn away the crowd. Around 6 p.m., the crowd manages to break through the exterior doors, and the crowd surges so much that they bend a lamppost near that door. They break through the exterior doors, and they start running down the stairs. Once they get down, those doors are locked. So you have a bunch of people squishing into this downward stairwell, trying to push up against these doors that are locked. Not only that, even if someone realizes what's going on and they walk over the doors and they unlock the doors, you're not going to have people coming in because the doors have to be pushed into the group of people piled. It opens into the stairwell. Mm-hmm. But there's no room in the stairwell right now. Nobody at the top knows that. They're all pushing into each other. One person said, everyone was so close together, you felt you could not breathe because of the weight of people pressing on your back. Finally, after 15 minutes, the doors to the gym almost basically pop off. Everyone starts spilling into the gym. The people who had been standing near the doors that had been getting squashed the most, now they're practically getting trampled on by the people behind them trying to get into the gym because they also can't breathe. In that moment, someone comes onto the intercom and tells them, the game is canceled because 3 people have died. You gotta leave. Which ensues another round of pure panic because what do you mean 3 people died? How did they die? Some people know about the stairwell, some people don't. One person said people started running, people are pushing each other down, people on the bottom were getting trampled, people jumped off the bleachers and were crushing each other. People are trying to leave through the same door that people had just been crushed in minutes ago, trying to go up the stairs now to leave.
You could actually hear when somebody died because you would hear and then you wouldn't hear anymore.
9 people died, and 29 people were injured that night. The 9 people that passed, according to the chief medical examiner at the time, The victims were 15 to 28 years old and had died from being asphyxiated. They were, quote, squeezed from the front to the back. There was no criminal trial, but Diddy was later asked to explain himself. He says it was just an impossible situation. There was no way for them to be allowed in. There was already 40% capacity inside the gym. And yeah, you could let in a few more people, but it was chaos. We started seeing some scary shit. People's eyes were going back in their heads, and I'm thinking people could die out here. A big kid had gotten stuck in the door and we couldn't pull him through, or anybody else. The cops were being called, but nobody was coming, and I could just feel it. I was thinking some of these people were dying or dead. One woman who thankfully made it out alive, she said she actually saw Diddy that night. She alleges, he walked right past me after there was that big rush inside the gym. He didn't seem concerned about what was going on. He just wanted to get his stuff and get out of there. I never got the sense of remorse or accountability, just like, let me get my stuff and get out. In fact, later in a 1993 cover for Vibe titled Puff Daddy, This Is Not a Puff Piece, he says, it wasn't the tickets that oversold, like people said. It wasn't the fire department's fault or the cops. It was just that overall, the Black community, there's a lack of self-love. They couldn't love their neighbors because they didn't love themselves.
No way.
Which is absolutely one of the most unhinged ways I've ever heard someone describe a literal stampede, a literal surge, a crowd surge. That's not how physics works. And also, what the are you saying? One journalist who worked on the coverage of the college incident, they remember thinking, Puffy? Who the hell is Puffy? Who's this guy named Puffy Daddy? Puff Daddy? The event coordinator? He's a hip hop producer? They remember thinking, man, this Puffy guy can't have much of a future after this, huh? 2 years later, Puff Daddy would start his own record label, Bad Boy Records. Within 4 years of opening, the label sold nearly $100 million worth of records. People said there's just something about Diddy. He is a master marketer. I mean, you have to give him that. Just to give you a quick example, he was working on promoting two of his artists, Big, B.I.G., and Mac. But he has to give a bunch of journalists their music to sample because this was before streaming. So he has to give them CDs, mixtapes. He has to give them photos if they want to reprint him in magazines. He has to provide original copies of photos. Mm-hmm. So he created this Big Mac sampler. It looked like the McDonald's Big Mac packaging. And he would put in all their mixtapes and he would call it the Big Mac. Christopher Wallace, aka Biggie Smalls, aka Notorious B.I.G. He actually gets discovered, if you will, by Diddy. He was born the only child of a single Jamaican mom. He actually got his start freestyling in the streets of Brooklyn. But obviously, that's not making a ton of money, so he did deal drugs on the side. He did go to jail for 9 months on a weapons charge. And when he gets off, he's like, you know what? I don't like prison at all. That was not a good experience. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make music. Diddy would say about Biggie, I mean, he just had so much melody in his voice. It was like he was rapping, but it was so catchy. It was almost like he was singing, and he was such a clever poet. The way he put his words together, the way he saw things, he saw things so vivid. If you sat and listened to a Biggie Smalls record in the dark, you would see a whole movie in front of you. And the most amazing thing is, Biggie never wrote down his lyrics. He'd sit and compose them in his head.
Wow.
Many believe, oh, for sure, Tupac and Biggie, they must hate each other because they're competition. East Coast, West Coast, they hate each other. They were actually friends. In fact, when they first started hanging out, Tupac was a little bit more famous than Biggie. He was further along in his career. Biggie would crash on his couch when he was doing shows in LA. He would invite Biggie out to freestyle on stage together, which is a big deal because you're sharing your audience with him, right? And eventually, Tupac would even form a group called Thug Life, which he has tattooed on his stomach. He wanted Biggie to join. Diddy says Biggie loved Tupac to death. Tupac helped Biggie out when we were just getting off the ground. He would come and let us open his shows. A lot of people say Diddy was the third wheel in the relationship. Yeah, people said Diddy was fascinated by Tupac. He was fascinated with Biggie, but to him it seemed like Biggie was more of a money-making machine. But with Tupac, he would get his team to study Tupac's records. And honestly, it seems from insider reports that Diddy wanted to be besties with Tupac. According to Diddy's former bodyguard, Tupac was known for wearing Versace shirts. Then Diddy goes and wears Versace shirts, which fine. He's like, some dudes would do that. But beyond that, Gene Deal alleges Diddy would do this bizarre thing where he would try to find all the women that Tupac had been intimate with and try to be intimate with those same women. Side note, Sarah Chapman, the mother of one of his children, one of Diddy's children, was actually a girlfriend of Tupac's, allegedly.
That is weird.
And allegedly, Kim Porter was a huge fan of Tupac. She actually wore a Tupac shirt on the red carpet with Diddy. Some would say that Diddy was just obsessed with Tupac in every way possible, in a very creepy way. I guess they had this mutual respect for one another until Tupac gets shot 5 times. The shooting was carried out by someone that he is having trouble with. But the problem is the Bad Boy Records artists were there. And Tupac felt like if something were to happen to Biggie in the West Coast, Tupac would know about it. He's saying, how am I in New York getting robbed, getting shot? Bad Boy is in the same building and you're telling me not a single one of them knew that this was about to go down? I will say, I don't know if Biggie knew. Most people say that Biggie didn't know. Most people say that Diddy knew though. Biggie genuinely liked Tupac is the vibe that people are saying. But he sees Biggie and he feels like Biggie is involved. Tupac, he comes from like a line of activists. His mother was a prominent activist. She was part of the Panther 21, the larger Black Panther Party. Tupac was speaking at Black Panther Party rallies since he was 17. It is well known that Tupac was a poetic genius. He was literally into poetry. He took poetry classes. There are a lot of complicated emotions in his music. He's also had quite a notable personal life as well. He's been romantically linked with Jada Pinkett Smith. I believe they've known each other since high school days. Jada Pinkett Smith liked to call them soulmates, and it was a whole thing. Wow. By the time that they were ready to date, allegedly, she was already dating Will Smith. He wrote about it in a book, talking about how he would never live up to Tupac. Tupac was also linked to have dated Madonna briefly. Regardless, after healing from his wounds, Biggie drops a song called Who Shot Ya? Some notable lyrics include East Coast motherfuckers, bad boy motherfuckers, who shot you? Fucking with B.I.G. it ain't safe, Big Papa smash fools, bash fools, everything around me, 2 Glock 9s. Which like, why the hell would Biggie release that if he had nothing to do with Tupac's shooting and had no bad feelings towards him? According to Gene Deal, Diddy's bodyguard at the time, he believes that wasn't Biggie's choice. He's not the record label owner. He's an artist. He doesn't get a say. He says this song was produced for a previous album and they took it down because it was just way too violent. And Diddy thought that's the perfect time to release it. It's going to get so much attention, so many plays. This would be the misunderstanding that starts everything. Because Tupac didn't hate Biggie when he went to jail. He just felt like it was weird. He felt like Biggie must have known about it. It was weird, right? Now, Tupac is in prison. He hears from everyone. Biggie just released this track. He admitted that he shot you and was now like teasing you while you're in prison. Naturally, Tupac feels betrayed. And while Tupac is in prison, Biggie takes over the hip hop world. Now, this is where things get interesting. Now, Suge Knight signs Tupac and pays a $1.5 million bail to get him out. Suge Knight pays the bail, and immediately he comes out, signs with Death Row Records, and both of them are ready to take down Bad Boy. Death Row Records, at its prime, was making over $100 million per year. Bad Boy Records, we don't know exact numbers, but they're doing $100 million in record sales for 4 years. Death Row Records, $100 million per year.
Ain't no other record company out there that sold as many records as we did. We outsold Bad Boy, LaFace, every black record label out there, we outsold them in 1 year.
It's just getting very messy. It just feels like the record labels have a lot more skin in the game, whereas Tupac and Biggie were friends who had a falling out and everything just escalates from there. I will say that most people believe that Suge Knight and Diddy were encouraging this anger from both sides. Suge Knight is also known as a bully in the game. That's how he's described. Some people think that Diddy and Suge are cut from the same cloth. It's like comparing a terminal illness to a different kind of terminal illness. They're both cancers in society. They're both terrifying. Both are ruthless. Both get what they want no matter what. But other netizens argue 2 key differences. 1, Suge Knight never pretends that he didn't do everything for himself. Whereas Diddy does so much PR to be brother love. And 2, from what the public knows, Suge is someone who hurt and exploited people. No question. He was a quote-unquote gangster. But Diddy did all of that, and he's an alleged sexual criminal on top of that. A week after Tupac is released from prison, it's alleged that Biggie's wife, Faith Evans, who is signed with Bad Boy Records, she flies out to LA for work, runs into Tupac, and it's alleged that the two of them would end up sleeping together. Faith Evans has always denied this story, which, side note, they were actually supposed to meet each other. Faith said that she had Biggie's go-ahead to go to LA and work with Tupac on his album. And it's alleged that those who saw them in the studio, Faith was sitting on Tupac's lap. And things just start escalating quicker and quicker. Very soon after that, Tupac releases his second album, All Eyes on Me. This album would actually outsell Biggie's previous album, making him the most successful rapper. Death Row Records was back on top after this release. But the next month, everything blows up when Tupac releases a track called Hit 'Em Up. It is one of the most well-known rap songs. It's a pretty scathing response to Biggie's song. Notable lyrics include, and it kicks off strong, I effed your bitch, you fat motherfucker. West Side, bad boy killers. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. September 7th, 1996, at the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Tupac is shot 4 times in the streets of Vegas. He was sitting in the passenger seat of Suge Knight's car. Cadillac pulls up, and a gunman fires 14 shots into the car. Tupac is hit 4 times. Suge Knight is injured with a bullet fragment that hits him in the head, but he is not directly shot. 6 days later, Tupac dies from his injuries. He was only 25 years old. In 2023, they're going to arrest someone who was allegedly in that car that gave the order that night. And he says, Keefe D says, Diddy was going to pay me $1 million to do it. September 2023, a man named Dwayne Keefe D, gets arrested for the murder of Tupac. He's part of the Compton Crips. Evidently, he likes to call himself the Compton Street Legend. That's also the title of his memoir.
You say last year?
Last year, like decades later.
This guy got arrested for murder of Tupac.
Yes, for killing Tupac decades later. And just like the case in episode 1 of Jonathan Odie, after his arrest, he starts saying some very interesting things. And honestly, he had been singing to the public, to the documentaries, in his own memoir for years, that perhaps a certain someone had put a hit out on Tupac worth 7 figures, $1 million. Kill Tupac, you get $1 million. Now you do the math. What kind of person has that kind of money to take down another person? The police don't have to guess because Keefe D tells them Sean Diddy Combs.
He says Sean Diddy hired him?
Yeah.
Paid him $1 million to kill Tupac?
Well, that's the thing. He killed Tupac. Well, he wasn't the guy that pulled the trigger, but they did it. They killed Tupac, and Diddy still didn't pay him. And he's very upset about that. He says that he still, to this day, never received payment, and Diddy owes him big time. We must require standardized testing for microphone purchases because he's just out here confessing to crimes. He said, we couldn't let no record company studio gangster do us like that. Had they lost their fucking rapping ass minds? And he says, when conversations would come up about $1 million bounty on the heads of Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, that was business. The police would state Keefe D took down Keefe D. They say he put himself squarely in the middle of the conspiracy. He had acquired the gun. He had given the gun to the nephew, the shooter, and he had been present in the vehicle when they hunted down and located both Tupac and Suge Knight. All the other direct conspirators or participants are all dead. The other people in the car, they're dead now. What? He is the last man standing among the individuals that conspired to kill Tupac. But now, the internet does not believe that to be true. They believe, no, there's another person still standing or laying down or bent over. I'm not too familiar with how people pass time in federal prison. And that person is Sean Diddy Combs. And it's not like these two are strangers. Diddy actually knew Keefe D since the 90s. Yeah. Allegedly, Diddy came and was like, I have a couple problems I need to be handled. Keefe D says, if he would have just given us half the money, I would have stayed strong, meaning he wouldn't have ratted Diddy out to the cops. Which, side note, Keefe D would later state that that's the only reason Diddy might get away with it, because he never got paid for it. Like, he never directly paid Keefe D. So there's no connection to Diddy and Tupac, his death. Perhaps it's time for Diddy to pay. He was later asked on The Breakfast Club a podcast about the situation with Tupac and how some people think he was involved. And he responds, and this whole thing is crazy. His whole demeanor changes. Throughout the interview, he's very animated with his hands, larger than life character. And then immediately when Tupac comes up, he's like a statue, like a Greek statue.
Yeah, so we don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to even go there, with all due respect. But
very little movement. In fact, he takes a pen and he keeps pressing it into the side of his face. A lot of body language experts, which you guys know I'm usually not the biggest fan of, but they state that it's a way of him releasing tension. To which the comments read, "I've only ever done 1 year of psychology classes and I can tell you something's not right." Another comment reads, "His mannerisms and his refusal to answer questions about Tupac's murder clearly says he's guilty." There is a conspiracy out there that Tupac is alive. He's faked his death. He's out there. He's just watching all of us.
What?
This is the conspiracy that he's still alive. So if you know anything about Tupac, a lot of people might have wanted him dead. The vice president at the time, Don Quayle, who served under George W. Bush, he would state about some of Tupac's music, "There is absolutely no reason for a record like this to be published. No reason at all."
Time Warner's a subsidiary, Interscope Records, withdraw this record. It has no place in our society.
Why? I mean, some would say because Tupac would release songs that served as social commentary. He was trying to enact change. One song is titled White Man's World. Notable lyrics read, "One thing they ever did wrong was being born black in this white man's world. Being born with less, I must confess, only adds to the stress. Proud to be black, but why we act like we don't love ourselves. Don't look around, check yourself. Know what it means to be black, whether a man or girl. We're still struggling in this white man's world. We must fight for the countless political prisoners who are locked up falsely by the white man." He names prominent activists who fought for black rights. The government did not like this song. For a long time, Tupac was actually on the FBI watch list.
What?
There have been allegations throughout the years to keep this theory, conspiracy theory, that he's still alive, if you will. People were reporting from all over the world. I saw him in New Mexico. I saw him in South Africa. And then Tupac's former bodyguard states, "I know the truth. The truth is, Tupac is alive and has escaped to Cuba." He states that Tupac has been smuggled into Cuba with the help of Fidel Castro himself. Which, side note, this is not a random connection. Tupac's aunt is a political activist that is living in Cuba right now as an American fugitive. So he does have connections. He says, "I have definitive proof. As his former bodyguard, I helped him fake his death. He's alive, he's in Cuba, and I'm gonna show you that proof in a few days." But right before he's gonna release the evidence, he dies.
What?
He dies.
How?
Nobody knows. And then a year later, he comes back from the dead and releases a YouTube video. He says, "My name's Michael Neese. I faked my death on the 18th of December. I'm here today, back from the dead, to show why and how I faked my death. I'm gonna put the record straight." He argues that he had to fake his own death because he had to prove that he has the capabilities to help Tupac fake his death. People are skeptical about his claims now, but it has fueled the conspiracy that Tupac is still alive and well. Also, the album Machiavelli is a play on the word Machiavelli, the political philosopher. Apparently, he studied him extensively while he was in prison, and he was particularly a fan of the book The Prince. One of the strategies for general principles of deception by Machiavelli to be faking your own death to control and fool your enemies. Side note, he actually releases a lot more music posthumously than he did when he was alive. And in one of the songs you hear the lyrics, "Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back. I'm coming." People thought it was strange. Then in another song he sings, "I heard the rumors I died, murdered in cold blood, dramatized. But that was fiction. Some coward got the story twisted." Now, the death of Tupac would make the East versus West Coast rivalry reach its peak. There's a big reaction to this. Some LA police have said it was the 10-day conflict where it was gang shootouts nonstop between the rival gangs, because it feels like they took out your representative, you know? But it seems at that time, Biggie had no idea about any of this. Witnesses who were around him when he found out that Tupac had been shot, they said he tried to reason, maybe just to himself. It's okay, he'd been shot before, it was fine, he survived, he's gonna survive this one, he's fine. Once it was confirmed that Tupac was gone, it's alleged by Faith Evans that Biggie called her. His voice was so low and small and he was sobbing, and he just kept saying, "Something ain't right, Faye. Shit got fucked up somewhere along the way, but that was my man." I mean, I think the situation with Tupac, he's just trying to change his life. I think it's this feeling of waking up, because what are we doing here? Like, I'm gonna die if I keep going down this route. Like, it was never that serious. What is happening right now? He would just stay home or in the studio working on his next album. He was getting death threats every single day.
That's how real it is. I think somebody's trying to kill me. I'll be waking up paranoid. I'll be really scared. You know, you be seeing me? Scared to death.
He's just working on his next album, Life After Death. And Diddy is allegedly telling him, you have to go to LA to promote this new album. It seems like Biggie really did not want to go. Like, he doesn't want to travel. He doesn't want to be outside. It's just weird. So they end up doing all these meetings, these press tours, and then eventually one night, Diddy is like, hey, we got to go to a party. The bodyguard, Gene Deal, says he was going to go ride with Biggie because, like, Biggie's the one getting all the threats. So he's like, I'm going to go in the car with Biggie on the way to the party. And Diddy allegedly forced him, no, you're riding with me unless you never want a job again. He gets into Diddy's car, and he alleges that Diddy was riding very low, like he had popped his chair all the way down, which was weird. Diddy and Biggie are in separate cars. That is when, at a red light, similar to Tupac, Biggie is shot and killed. He is shot 4 times.
That's bigger than that. Is bigger than y'all get down. That is bigger than somebody got shot. Y'all get down, rap.
Biggie was just 24 years old. Tupac was 25. Now, even back then, there were a lot of conspiracies of what happened. Some people believed face value. The East Coast had someone take out Tupac, so the West Coast retaliated and took out Biggie, right? But there were other conspiracies of what happened. They allege Notorious B.I.G. was planning on leaving Bad Boy. In fact, he had already hired attorneys and they were trying to get his publishing rights back from Diddy. Some even go on further to allege that Biggie did not like what Diddy did with all the Tupac stuff, releasing the song Who Shot You, like generating all this drama and then getting people killed. Like, he didn't like that. He didn't like everything that was happening there, in which Diddy allegedly told Biggie's attorneys, I will never give up his publishing rights until I'm dead and my bones are crushed into powder. Now, Suge Knight would later state along the lines of, when Tupac died, he lost a lot, including a lot of money. Death Row Records lost a lot of money. But when Biggie died, Diddy gained a lot. He gained a lot of money on top of everything. He gained sympathy. He had his new debut album. He had that tribute to Biggie. He has all of this. Gene Deal alleges that he once heard Diddy say, I'm a businessman. I'm about making money, but something's got to change. I don't care if Pac got to die. I don't care if Big got to die or if Suge Knight got to go to jail. The conspiracy now is that, allegedly, Diddy put a hit out on Tupac. Once Tupac was gone, he realized that he is the prime target for revenge. People are pointing the finger at him and Biggie. So allegedly, he went and had Biggie killed because he knows this isn't gonna stop. Another artist who knows Diddy well says, he's a bitch. Somebody had to die after Tupac died. He knew somebody was gonna die. It's just the art of war. A lot of people have interpreted the conspiracy theory in a few ways, that either he planned for Biggie to get killed or he knew about it and did nothing. But would Diddy really do all of this for fame and money? I mean, murder and conspiracy to commit murder are extreme crimes. I guess we'll only know if it's discussed in court, but one who allegedly knew Diddy says, that guy was all about himself. All he cares about is power and this odd, strange, deep desire to remain famous. He loves having his photo taken. He loves showing off his extravagant life. He wants to keep Diddy at the top. Being part of his company is like a circus and he's the ringmaster. The main reason he's such a superstar is because all he thinks about is Diddy. From the minute he wakes up until the minute he goes to bed, Diddy's hobby is Diddy. One insider source says, everyone always chalked it up to him being a creative genius when it came to his obsession with controlling things, but he just really had a thing for fame, okay? They nicknamed him at Bad Boy Records Notorious VIP because he always wanted to be treated like a VIP. So
this whole murder, double murder from decades ago
is unraveling.
Like ongoing now.
Oh, like developing very quickly. Tupac's family have hired Alex Spiro to investigate any links between Diddy and Tupac's murder. Alex Spiro is not a random lawyer. This is one of the top high-profile attorneys in Hollywood, previously repped Megan Thee Stallion, Jay-Z, Elon Musk, Alec Baldwin recently in the Rust case. And Keffe D's trial is 1 month before Diddy's. It does not appear that Biggie's family have hired an attorney to look into his death, but his mom did comment on the video of Diddy beating Cassie, and she says, "I'm sick to my stomach. I'm praying for Cassie and I'm praying for his mother. I don't want to believe the things I've heard, but I've seen the hotel video. I pray that he apologizes to her. I hope that I can see Sean one day, and the only thing I want to do is slap the daylights out of him." And you can quote me on that. And she has stated about Diddy's relationship with her son Biggie, "I believe Sean loved my son after he was dead." Tupac once said in an interview, "I believe in karma. I believe that everything you do bad comes back to you." And maybe it's time. And that is part 3 of the Diddy case. I will see you in the last and final installment. Please be safe, and I'll see you in the next one.